voices to this ceremony. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of my enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord. The psalmist, it can be translated, the psalmist King David, who is said to have written the book of Psalms, chooses the words that says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil. There's two parts to that I'd like to share for just a brief moment. One is this valley that he's talking about is what you are experiencing now. It's a depression, if you will. A valley is a depression within the earth, and we kind of feel that sense of depression in our own selves, an emotional depression, a psychological depression. And yet the prophet says, the psalmist says, yea, though I walk through the valley, I'm going to get through this valley. It's not going to control me. It's not going to hold me down. It's not going to possess me or conquer me in any emotional way. I'm going to get through that valley. The question is how? How do we get through a valley, a place so deep and so sad? And that's through time and through love and through a moment of pain now and again. But we get through. We never get over it, but we learn to get through it. And I think with the love of those of you here and those on the live stream, you will figure out how to get through this day, and you will continue to bring Elaine with you throughout the many, many, many years ahead. Let me chant the prayer for you before we offer words of eulogy. Adonai rohi lo aksar binodesh yar bitseni Amen menuchot yinhaleni Nafshi yeshov yancheni v'magleit tzedek l'man shemo Gan ki elech v'geit hamavet lo yirara ki ata imadi Sheftecha u'mishantecha hema yinachamuni Taroch lefanai shulechan neged zorai Dishanta v'Hashem en roshi kos yirefaya Akto v'chesed yirefuni kolen yemechaya V'shavti b'vet Adonai le'orech yamim. Just like the majestic Titanic ship, which was thought to be unsinkable, so too did you think that Elaine was created out of that same resilience. In fact, I was told some friends attached to her the moniker, the unsinkable Molly Brown, a heroic survivor of the Titanic in 1912. Elaine was bestowed, it felt, with 9 lives, if not more, as she persevered through abundant medical challenges. Somewhat like the Energizer Bunny, whose battery never seemed to slow down. Even through dialysis treatments, she would be found running errands just right after her infusions. Not only did Elaine possess a strong constitution, but also a vibrant spirit that kept her enjoying life up until the very last day. She was a force which emanated color and vitality and vigor into our world. She selected from her palette of paints bold and captivating hues of color with which to paint her world, be it on canvas, on which she created countless numbers of wonderful paintings, clowns in particular, or the way she impacted her daughters and granddaughters, niece, sister, and others to dress, how to dress and how to coordinate your flesh with the fabric, modeling for them how to complement their makeup and their wardrobe. This fashionista, as you called her, always looked great no matter in what venue she would appear. She adored the color purple, especially on her nails. And she put her hands into the hands of a very trusted manicurist, Ellie, I believe was her name, and to whom she would schlep her grandchildren to sit and watch the magic take place. How genuinely sad, I'm told, she was when Ellie passed on. Elaine was a creative person in so many ways, her granddaughter professing that she was a veritable Martha Stewart. Elaine had learned to sew and to crochet and to knit from her mother, Merle said to me. Elaine possessed a green thumb as well. She nurtured her own multiple plants that she had in her home and found time to spend enjoying some free time at the Botanic Gardens. Alongside of her ribbon-winning clown painting, she learned to cook and bake and create masterpieces in the kitchen as well. I was told of matzo ball soup and flourless chocolate cake and mundo bread, certainly worthy of a blue ribbon. Nice touches of Heath bar and cinnamon chips, and not too crunchy, not too soft, kind of like Elaine. A tough cookie, but delectable. As well, she was renowned for her Caesar salad. Now, not everyone gets to hear the secret ingredient of this salad, but today we shall do so for you. You've got to, I think it was Italy, you've got to go to Italy and buy a big brown wooden bowl made by a genie. This bowl was magical, somehow magical, and it was reserved only for the Caesar salad. And in its years of marinating all those many flavors, it made for her her prized kitchen utensil. Her kitchen was open to all of you, as was her heart, as was her home, a home which she and Howie adored. As hostess, Elaine was generous and always created a beautiful Passover meal with Howie at the head, leading the Pesach Seder. Her brisket, her kishka, and other delicacies always came out perfectly, as long as Howie didn't drag through the Seder. Her painting really took off in her between years, may I say, after having been married to Joel and before marrying Howard. She took classes every Monday night for 25 years, I'm told, at a studio in Skokie, somewhat a manner of therapy to soothe some of her emotions. She liked other distractions such as canasta and mahjong and jigsaw puzzles. She was artistically gifted in calligraphy, and many of you must have been recipients of her talents, whether she helped decorate your wedding invitations or other events. Her keen eye was always in use, as was evident by her wonderfully chosen outfits, her shoes, her perfectly polished nails, and lining up her hundreds of bottles of boutique perfumes. Her passion for fashion was apparent, when she worked in retail, mostly in the Marshall Field's fragrance department. How she loved when family like Ellen or her granddaughters would come to visit her while she was working. She loved their visits because she wanted to show them off to her co-workers. Those moments, as well as quality one-on-one time, Ellen said, was the foundation of the closeness that they shared, and I'm sure others feel the same. I have a brief reading. It was a longer letter, so sorry about that, Burl. But a brief reading from a letter Burl sent to me this morning. She said, when John and I were being married, Elaine offered to do my makeup, and she loaned me a beautiful blue sapphire droplet to complement my wedding dress. She told me that as the years had gone on, the love that she and Howard felt for each other were deep and deeper each year, and then she wished that for me and for John. Before we moved away, the four of us would always get together for dinner. We developed a ritual which started at their home, having a drink. Then we would go out to an Italian or a Greek restaurant, and then we would do the same once they would come to visit us in California. Our last shared trip was a spring training baseball game in Phoenix for a Cubs-Giant spring training game. This last year, Elaine and I stayed in touch via phone calls, and we'd make sure that we spent at least a half an hour or so on the phone. Elaine, thank you for your good company and for loving my brother so deeply. Your memory shall be a blessing to me always. Allow me a brief biographical moment to explain to some of us some of Elaine's childhood. She was born in Chicago to her parents, Louis and Ruth. Her sister, Merle, recalls Elaine helping her father in their grocery store. She would do deliveries when she was off school for the summer, riding a big bicycle that had a large basket attached to the back to collect the orders. She would, you continued, to help her mother cook, and she learned how just by being by her mother's side. Being a lefty didn't impede her artistic creativity. Lots of the family members are lefties, and there's a lot of artistic creativity there. How you recalled your sister dancing a lot and bringing her friends to your home and having dance parties, where you, Merle, were the little human cushion that would be tossed up and down into the air. The two of you were to share a bedroom until she was 13 and you were 9. Sure, there were squabbles between siblings, but how much fun you had teasing your mother together for all of those years. A moment of maturing for Elaine you identified for us was when she had a schoolmate of hers who passed on from leukemia, and Elaine and her friends decided to use their dance talents for the good, and they organized a dance to raise money to help cure that horrid disease. She would graduate von Steuben High School and had amassed many friends, one in particular, Carol Crafton, with whom she remained very close until 2017, when Carol recently passed. Elaine would matriculate to Roosevelt University, where she would meet Joel and decide to terminate her academic pursuits to marry and to grow a family. 3 children would be her blessings. They would move out of Chicago for a brief time, where she did help Joel with their shoe store, but ultimately it was time to leave and come back to Chicago. It was then that she began her retail job at Marshall Field's Fragrance. Many of you laughed as you reminisced about how many gifts, birthdays or holidays, came from Marshall Field's, surprisingly, in that green box, or maybe shopping at one of the neighboring retail shops like Macy's. During this time, it was the time that she met Howie. And while they may have been somewhat opposites, they were deeply infatuated with one another, and it was a love that lasted 35 years. They enjoyed theater at the Marriott Lincolnshire, and they loved traveling out to Vegas when he might travel for a convention or a meeting. There were opportunities that they took for cruising, and they went to Alaska, and then they went to Israel and Italy, which I heard was maybe her most favorite of all places. And it was in Israel that they would amass a collection of mezuzot, some of which have been affixed to some of your homes, and others still waiting to be adopted by other family members. Other domestic trips were summer visits to family and to see grandchildren at their college campuses. I heard of one such trip to the hills of maize and blue, Michigan, which was supposed to be a visit where they were going to find the pot of gold of delicatessen sandwiches. But they voted that they weren't as authentic as the kosher delis in New York that they had tasted before. But there was nothing more delicious to her than were her children and her family. Previously noted, of course, we mentioned her parents, her sister Merle, and also children Stephen, Marnie and Dan, and the late Lisa, Robin and Mark, Lee and Ellen, Stephen, now along with Colleen, loving Nana of Danielle and Adam, Jacob and Angel, Amanda and Matthew, Joshua, Alexis, Shelby, Ari, Benjamin, and Alex, Ethan and Taylor, Wayne, Igwayne, Benjamin and Toby, along with being a very dear aunt, cousin, and friend. Being your nanny or babysitter was a treat for her, but it was also the only job from which she was fired. In just a minute, Marnie, I'm going to ask you to share your words. But before I do, I want to read this powerful letter written by Rabbi Karen Kadar. It's a letter of a mother to her girls, be it niece, sister, cousin, daughter, grandchild. I can apply to gentlemen as well, but it's written as a mother to her girls. The morning you wake to bury me, you'll wonder what to wear. The sun may be shining, or maybe it will rain. It may be winter, or not. And you'll say to yourself, black. Aren't I supposed to wear black? And then you will remember all the times we went together to buy clothes, maybe for a prom or a homecoming or just another pair of jeans or a sweater and another pair of shoes. And you'll remember how I loved to dress you and how beautiful you were in my eyes. The morning you wake to bury me, you will look in the mirror in disbelief. You'll reach for some makeup, or not, and you won't believe that this is the morning you will bury your mother. But it is. And as you gaze into that mirror, you will shed a tear. Or not. But look carefully, for hiding in your expressions, you will find me. You will see me in your eyes, in the way you laugh. You will feel me when you think of God and of love and of struggle. Look into the mirror and you will see me in a look or in the way you hold your mouth or the way you stand, maybe a little bent or maybe very straight, but you'll see me. So let me tell you one last time before you dress what to wear. Put on any old thing, black or red, skirt or pants. Despite what I told you all these years, it really doesn't matter. Because as I told you all these years, you are beautiful the way you are. So be sure to dress yourself in honor and in dignity, and dress yourself in confidence and self-love. Wear a sense of obligation to do for this world, for you are one of the lucky ones, and there is so much for you to help fix. Take care of each other. Take care of your heart. Take care of your soul. Talk to God, and wear humility and compassion. For when you wake to bury me, put on a strong sense of self and courage and understanding. Allow me this. I'm sorry. Forgive me, for I am sorry. So stand at my grave clothed in a gown of forgiveness. You be dressed like an angel, showing compassion and unconditional love. For at that moment, for at this very moment, all that is left of me to give is love. So love and share it.
standing up here again. Family and friends, I want to express my deepest gratitude to all of you for being here today to honor my mom and for your unwavering love and support. When I think of my mom, so many words come to mind that capture her essence and all the things she loved. But the first thing that stands out is strength. I have never known a woman who displayed more resilience or a stronger will to embrace life, especially after the last 3 years. From clowns to the color of purple that is sprinkled all over, thank you. Cooking and baking to knitting, crocheting, painting, needlepoint, and reading. There were so many things that made Elaine Laney. And let's not forget her love for vacationing, dressing impeccably, and having beautiful nails. In my lifetime, I learned so much from my mom. How to run a home, stay organized, and above all, how to be a loving mom, nana someday, sister, and friend. She was the kind of role model who led by example. Though her demeanor could sometimes be tough, beneath that exterior was a heart as big as her many talents. She was always there for her family, offering support, wisdom, and love. Her strength wasn't just physical, it was the kind of strength that saw her face challenges with unwavering determination, always putting others before herself. She was, without a doubt, the strongest woman I've known, and her memory will live on in our hearts forever. It brings me comfort to know that she transitioned peacefully, without struggle or pain. I take solace in knowing that she was welcomed by her parents, her daughter Lisa Ray, and her loving husband Howie. What a beautiful birthday gift he will receive today, with his Curly now resting by his side. Though she may no longer be with us, her love, strength, and wisdom will continue to guide and inspire us for the rest of our lives.
You had some other stories to offer, such as how she inspired you to love the arts by taking you as children to musicals at the theaters downtown Chicago, and how she passed on her love of dance to you. Some of you came to love things she did, like how to bake, your enjoyment of dancing or knitting or singing with her as you would drive in the car. She loved her life with all of you. Hanukkah would have been a true joy, enjoying her latkes this year and being all together, though sad being it was to fall on Howie's birthday. She was fastidious in managing her home, a home which she and Howie shared and about which they were so proud. She made sure her hundreds of mini perfume bottles were aligned on her cosmetic tray. She did not only keep herself just so in her appearance, but also her home, and sometimes yours, be it solicited or unsolicited help. As pristine as she may have been, it wasn't uncommon to find Elaine searching for lost items in that perfectly kept house, most often a pair of glasses. She was a blend of Michelangelo, able to create and imagine myriad expressions of art, and then she was also that absent-minded professor searching around the house for a lost item, sometimes found just sitting on the kitchen counter, or other times maybe in her foldable seat when she needed to use a walker for a period. Other than forgetting a thing or two, I was told by family that her kryptonite were gadgets, electronics, cell phones, computers, televisions. What's wrong with this thing? You could hear her crying out many times a day. I was told never user error, I was assured. Always the device's fault. Her voicemail was either neither set up or it was always full, so you couldn't leave a message. Her phone book was infected by aliens that jumbled them overnight, so everybody's phone number had the same name on it. Cell phones had only one valuable purpose, and that was solitaire. She really had no patience for these haunted creatures of modern age. When she wanted to take a quiet time, you shared with me that you could find her at the library or at home with a good book, preferably James Patterson, an author of 401 books from 1976 until today, many of them, which I imagine, Elaine had read. There are many memories of playing in her home, her and Howie's home, and causing a ruckus, tossing things downstairs over that second floor railing, threatening to jump off that rail as well, while blasting music from the top of the house. It may have been tough for them to corral you, and maybe they had gotten flabbergasted late at night trying to put you to sleep, but deep inside I imagine they were always smiling and appreciating the time with you, and continued that enjoyment with the next morning when they might take you out to Cole's museum or maybe out for breakfast. Her life was filled with activity and energy. She enjoyed being involved in Ort and also at Congregation Beth Shalom Sisterhood. She was one of those mitzvah doers, those good people who would drive people who needed transportation to a doctor's appointment, or on Fridays she would help deliver Shabbat candles to those who were confined in the hospital. What a good-hearted woman, a generous and kind person. It's related that the people of Rome spoke of Michelangelo as a man who had 4 souls because he excelled in architecture, sculpture, painting, and poetry. His skill produced many of the city's beautiful buildings and statues. When he was on his deathbed, a group of friends gathered at his bedside. One of his students said, "Master, how will Rome ever doubt you?" And with a weak wave of his hand toward the open window in the city beyond, filled with the creations of his genius, Michelangelo simply replied, "Rome will never be without me." And in that same way, we can say that we too will never be without Elaine. For all of you present and countless others have been touched by her heart, her soul, and her mind, and the love that she gave us will always live within us. May her memory continue to be an inspiration and a blessing. Amen. I'm going to recite a memorial prayer. If you're comfortable to stand, please join me. And then we will recite the Mourner's Kaddish, which you can find in the pamphlets that the chapel provided for you. Elohai slicho, Chanun brachu merachapayim rachesed, Hametzeh chaparat pesh v'akravat yesha, Umnucha nechona tachat kanfei hashchina, Malot kidoshim utehorim, Kizohar araki amazirim, Et nishmat Esther Malka bat Yehuda Lev v'Rachel shachal Yohnama Baal harachamim Zachra la letova kol zechuyoteh v'tzidkoteh v'yatzot hachayim U'tachla sharei tzedek v'yorah Sharechem levechanina B'seit knafecha stireh al yolamim U'tzror b'tzor chaim et nishmata Adonai hu nachlata V'tanuach b'shalom al mishkava V'nomar Dear God, we ask you to be compassionate and gracious as you welcome the soul of Esther Malka, Bat Yehuda Leib Rachel, Elaine Michaels, as she comes to dwell within her eternal home. We ask that you remember the worthy and righteous deeds that she performed amongst us. May this loving and lovely woman, may her soul enter your eternal embrace as her soul is bound up in the bonds of life. May she rest in peace. May she rest within us all. Amen. Words of Kaddish, please. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah v'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael v'agala u'v'zman kariv v'imru Amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevarach li'alam u'l'almei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yipa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dikudsha v'richu ve'ela min kol birchata v'shirata shushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran ba'alma v'imru alein yehi shama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu v'yalkol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'kurma hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu v'yalkol Yisrael v'imru amen. The last words of that psalm end with Oseh shalom, a prayer for peace. I'll ask you to join me in that prayer. We pray that God offer to Elaine a place of peace in the heavens above. We pray for God to shower the world with a little bit more peace as well. And I hope that you are blessed with peace of mind, knowing how fully and completely you loved Elaine until the final moments, as you shall continue to love her for the remainder of your years as well. The gentlemen are lowering the casket. As you can see, afterwards it's our responsibility, if you so choose, to help bury her. It's a difficult process. Not the process itself, but the act of saying farewell to somebody is difficult. And as well, some people feel awkward putting earth, or what somebody might say, dirt, throwing dirt on somebody. How can I do that for somebody that I love so much? The purpose, though, the message is that we are placing more of God's earth on top of her resting place. It's going to either be you or them. And why not the people that loved her and knew her the most, to help tuck her in, if you will, to her eternal resting place. I imagine it's something she did for many of you. Just tucking you into bed and giving you a kiss on the head and wishing you a pleasant night's dreams. This is our physical way of being kind, to do one more nice thing for her that she can't repay you, she can't thank you, and thus it's an act of pure love from you to say, I want to do one more thing for you, Elaine. Just one more thing. The tradition is that we shovel in 3 measures of earth. We put 3 measures in. The number 3 in Jewish tradition shows intention, importance. You do something once, could be an accident, or twice. I wonder if I could do that again. But something 3 times shows that I've got a reason I'm doing this. And there's a sacred reason for it. So we do it 3 times. And then take the shovel that you're using and just place it down back in the earth. It could be some earth on the boards. You can use a larger shovel, or you can use the smaller pails, which is exactly the same gesture. Some people say, oh, that doesn't count. I need the big shovel. It counts, trust me. Just put the shovel back in, let the next person walk forward and say, I want to do this, rather than you saying, here's an obligation you must take. So just put it back down. I know it's nice to hand something to somebody, but not in this case. Afterwards, I would ask you to not can't think of the right word at the moment, but not to remain here to socialize. Rather, there is a Shiva visitation at 269 Bindham Circle in Mundelein, Illinois. I imagine you figured it was Illinois, Marnie and Dan's home. And there's ample time there to visit with the family and reminisce, and also the days to come as well. It's beautiful and wonderful that you've been here. Gets a little lonely on day 2 and day 5 and day 7 and day 200. So just continue to embrace the family with your love. Okay. Michael was sharing with me that the reason they didn't put the earth down on the ground was they didn't want to cover Howie's grave and the head marker and the marker, especially when it's his birthday. We should all. When we're at a funeral, we're not supposed to visit other graves. We're here for one simple purpose, and that is to honor the person we're here with. However, when it's that close, you can't help. So we're all going to use the smaller pails of earth for this mitzvah, for this sacred act, and be able to honor Howie's presence, if you will, at the same time. Okay. So thank you for understanding our reason.
What?
This concludes our service, everyone. Thank you for your time and attention to the family. And let's hope the new year turns out like this. I don't know what that's a